The reality is this, and this is the North Star that I believe people should have, which is unless you have one Bitcoin, a minimum of one Bitcoin, your job is not done.
I wouldn't say you're early anymore at this point. Like, you are on the verge of this thing going completely parabolic, because the most powerful government on the face of the planet on July 22nd might announce that it has bought Bitcoin.
Until Wall Street has their hands around something in a way to make money selling it, they don't promote it.
I think Wall Street is just about figuring its way out, figuring out how to actually sink its teeth into Bitcoin. And once they do that, this is going to be like real estate in the 70s, right? When they figured out mortgage-backed securities, that's when real estate really took off.
I don't think you'll have this opportunity 4 years from now. I think the window will be closed. Try to get just one. You're going to be in the global elite. And just to kind of put that in perspective, there's 55 to 60 million millionaires all around the world. There's only 21 million Bitcoin. Meaning, if every millionaire right now on planet Earth wanted to buy one Bitcoin, they physically wouldn't be able to do so. And you're able to get into that elite club for $108,000. But as British Hodl said, you kind of have to get off your ass and really stack hard to get to that one Bitcoin. What is it, Hodl, that you say? I love your line, dude. It's phenomenal.
You mean the 3 rules of Bitcoin?
Yes, say it, bro. Say it. Drop it.
Step number 1, you buy Bitcoin. Step number 2, you shut the fuck up. And step number 3, you get fabulously wealthy.
There we go. Yeah.
That's the way that's so funny, man. I love that. But I also, at the same time, I have a couple of friends of mine, and we talk about what it used to be like in Bitcoin, where it's like every time there was news out, it was usually bad news for Bitcoin. And now when there's bad news out, it's like, it's good for Bitcoin. And so it's like no matter what shit is going down now, you just look at each other and like, fuck, we're just going to get wealthier. Holy shit. It's just going to get like, yeah, that sucks, but that means Bitcoin's going up. So it's, for people that have, like what you said there, Nico, was it's late on the price, but what you described with the millionaires that don't own Bitcoin yet, and or the 98 or so percent of the population that don't own Bitcoin yet, it's still very early from a population basis. So if somebody's not sitting on $108,000 to smash buy Bitcoin, how did they get there?
Yeah, I mean, so I remember when I first got into Bitcoin, and again, I think it was just, I didn't like my career trajectory. I didn't like where I was economically. I took 80 to 90% of what I made from 2016 to about 2019. And then I took my foot off the gas pedal. I would wake up every single morning in sweats, basically like, how do I stack as much Bitcoin as humanly possible? And I stayed at my mom's house. I lived at my mom's house, no shame, don't care. And I sacrificed. I didn't go out. I didn't, party. I wish I started at an earlier age, to be honest with you. I was 23 at the time. I know Bitcoiners that are good friends of mine that started this at like 18, 19 years old, and they have, thousands of Bitcoin because they got in, in 2013 or 2012, right? So you kind of feel bad a little bit about the time where you go in, but I think Mahler said it best, right? Like it really is an ego test, right? The class of when you get in, because it's like, okay, this person got in, like I know someone that got in 2012, but is that going to stop me from getting in, even though, I got in 2016, 2017? Like, I might have less Bitcoin than him. That doesn't mean I'm not going to benefit economically from this technology, right? So my advice to anyone that's trying to get to one Bitcoin, like American Hodl, the other Hodl, right? There's British Hodl, there's American Hodl, right? Both are fantastic and fabulous. But what I would say is, do whatever you can, right? 80 to 90% of your income, live at your parents' house, move to Central America, like cut your expenses as low as humanly possible, delay gratification for a little bit, for at least 4 or 5 years, and do whatever it takes to get to one Bitcoin, as British Hodl had said. Put in your focus on how to grow your income, focus on how to save, focus on not spending, and do it obsessively. And if you do it obsessively, I think you can get there, but you have to do it like very, very quickly because the window's closing, right? We all know this. Like, you're not going to be able to get it at 100,000, 3 or 4 years from now. Impossible, right? So you have this very short window, this very short amount of time where if you focus your energy, as Michael Saylor says, and you stack and you take the majority of your income and you put it into Bitcoin, you have the opportunity to get to one, right? But all I could do is give give the advice of what I did in the first couple of years. Once I came to that realization, we all had this eureka moment in Bitcoin, right? I had it on the toilet, and I never forget it. I never forget what year it was. I think it was like 2017 or 2018 when I fully understood what this thing was, and I went like a psycho person, man. Like, I was just like, I have to dump as much of my money as possible into Bitcoin because this thing is absolutely scarce and it's going to go up forever. And this was before there's any Bitcoin content. The only Bitcoin content that existed at the time was Andreas Antonopoulos. I would watch his lectures on repeat. And then the only other Bitcoin content was Max and Stacy when they were doing the Kaiser report for RT, right? There was nothing else. There was a bunch of altcoin channels. There was nothing. There was nothing Bitcoin only. But when you had that little snap in your mind and you're watching those Andreas lectures for the 5th or the 6th or the 7th time, and you're just getting chills and you're like, oh my God, this is so obvious. That's when you get that mission. So that was a very long winded rant, but to weave it back in, focus your energy on stacking as much Bitcoin as you can and try to get to one.
British, anything to add to that?
Yeah, look, it's great advice, and that's the one leverage point that somebody who doesn't have wealth has over someone who has wealth. So to put this into perspective of how difficult this is, I don't know many people that are millionaires, low single-digit millionaires, that have $108,000 of spare liquidity lying around to buy something that they don't understand, right? So really, it's probably like, I don't know, 0.3, 0.4% of the world that actually has the liquidity to do this, and they're not doing this. So if you are able to follow Nico's advice and actually hustle and secure your one Bitcoin, you are, elevating and transcending wealth levels that, you don't understand how much work it would have taken in the traditional sense in order to do that right now, if you could do that. Now, as far as my audience goes, my audience has the ability to secure one Bitcoin. They're arguably, they're even dumber because they're just choosing not to because they're comfortable. And comfort, the good is the enemy of great at the end of the day. So what they're choosing to do is, I have a bunch of real estate and I'm not going to take advantage of it. Right now, you can go refi your real estate and go buy as much Bitcoin as you want if you have equity in that portfolio, of course. So that's what I did with my parents. They went and bought one Bitcoin for every property. It's now, secured through the ETFs. So it's, they don't have to worry about holding it. Again, innovation that wasn't around when I first started buying Bitcoin, even though I perceived myself as buying late. ETFs weren't around. There's so many easy things now, and it pisses me off because people are still not willing to take the time it takes to learn and then execute. So you went through all this risk. You went to, my parents, immigrants, right? Went to a country, built their life again after being kicked out of my dad's family being kicked out of his country, built his life, et cetera, et cetera. And then at some point, you just kind of just slow down because you're comfortable. I've got real estate, I've got assets. They're all going up slowly but surely. And then you just get comfortable and someone has to come along and give you a kick in the ass to take it to the next level. And that's this kick in the ass. So if you're, I keep telling my audience, find the liquidity. You have it. You got equity in stocks, you got gold, you got real estate, you got assets, you got other things that you can use to leverage and figure out. Like if you refi your property portfolio right now and buy Bitcoin with it, you're not even buying the Bitcoin, right? Because your tenants are paying for the Bitcoin. And so that's the way people need to think. But it really pisses me off because so many people are living in that comfort of having wealth. that they're not looking at, what's going to keep them wealthy. And one of my mentors always told me, like, getting there is easy. Staying there is the hard part. And that's what you have to do right now. So yeah, do I think they're going to do it? No. I think most people have missed the boat here, and that just is what it is. That's how, again, history doesn't repeat itself, but it kind of rhymes. Like, you've got this opportunity. There's going to be people who have watched every single Simply Bitcoin episode, every single British Hodl video, and they still haven't bought because they're just destined to be losers. And that's okay too.
Do you guys think that the price action in Bitcoin is a part of the reason why some people are unable to pull the trigger? Like, they feel like either it's gone up too much or it's going to drop 70% and I'll pick it up cheaper. And then when it's dropping, they think, oh, it's dead. And then they don't end up buying. Like, what do they get whipsawed emotionally, or they just haven't done the work?
No, that might be, from my perspective anyway, that might be the lower end of the market. But as far as the higher end they did this with real estate. They've been through this with equities. They've been through this. They're just lazy, right? And they're afraid to look at themselves in the mirror and just say, the hunger's gone, the drive is gone, I'm happy with my property portfolio, and that's it, right? Because I'll tell you one thing, the amount of messages I get from people who are executing, who are looking for HELOCs, who are looking for refinance, who are looking to pivot equities, who are looking to pivot their gold, is huge. It's immense. And those are the winners. Those are the people that are going to carry their wealth from this generation to the next. And everyone else is just going to be taxed away through either a wealth tax or inflation or whatever else, because they never deserved it in the first place.
So Nico, what do you think about this with this idea of like a big pivot coming, right? If everybody's sort of just starting to figure this out because all of a sudden there's a president that says it's good, there's corporations that say this is good, there's legislation coming out that says this is good. If this pivot is coming, and the vast majority of people haven't made this decision yet, is there a God candle on the horizon? Is this something that's just going to explode rapidly, you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think right now, what we've seen this cycle is compared to previous cycles, I would say it's the most bullish cycle from a news perspective, but from a price action perspective, I would say it's a little bit underwhelming. I mean, when Trump got into office, the price of Bitcoin was 109K. Right now it's at 108K 7 months later. I know we had a bit of a drop and we've recovered and all that. I think the reason that we're not seeing this kind of, and if you look up on Google Trends, by the way, what the overall kind of performance of Bitcoin is. I mean, the overall, how much people are searching for Bitcoin, it hasn't even surpassed 2021. It hasn't even surpassed 2017, right? So no one has any interest. No one has any idea about this happening like Wall Street does, and the Bitcoin treasury companies are getting a lot of attention. And what Saylor has done with strategy is like absolutely incredible. But retail, like just your average person, your average Joe, has no idea what is happening. And I think once you start to see, that realization come back, you're going to start to see, I think, a God candle, the likes of which has never been seen before. And the more we consolidate and the more we go sideways, the longer we go sideways, it's like a beach ball. Because if you look at the quantity of Bitcoin that these treasury companies are buying and the ETFs are buying, it's insanity. Like, it's a very, very large amount. And by the way, this isn't just a phenomenon that's happening in the United States. This is an international phenomenon. Did you guys know that the Kingdom of Bhutan has 1/3 of their GDP in Bitcoin? Like, it's insanity. And you just hear it. Treasury companies popping up in Sweden, treasury companies popping up in Europe, treasury companies popping up in Brazil. Like, this is Canada. This is an international phenomenon that's happening in the traditional markets. And the way that I see it is they're using this debt-based system. They're leveraging it to buy something that has absolute scarcity. right? So it's like the sailor discovered the infinite money glitch. Everyone's looking at it and they're saying, hey, why can't we do this too? I mean, if they have access to cheap debt and they have access to these capital markets, I mean, look at the American capital market. I think it's like between like 50 or 60 trillion dollars in value. Like all of that could be tapped into. And Saylor actually did this amazing presentation. I covered it yesterday about the STRD, his new like product that he's releasing. And Saylor already is in the top 20 companies in terms of corporate treasury holdings. He's number 11, I believe. If Bitcoin 2Xs or 3Xs, his corporate treasury is going to be bigger than the likes of Apple, the likes of Microsoft. I think the only one that's going to be able to beat him is Berkshire Hathaway, that has like 400 billion or something like that. But all these other companies, they're just sitting on their hands. And is Saylor actually making a product? Like, is he going out there and producing the best GPU money could buy, NVIDIA? Is he producing iPhones, Macs? Is he actually making something? No, he's not doing anything. He's just sitting on a better asset than all these companies, right? And he's proving that to the rest of Wall Street. And I think it's just a matter of time. I would say by the end of this cycle, so by the end of Trump's second term, all of these companies are going to have some type of exposure to Bitcoin. And a lot of people forget Elon, which is part of the Big Seven, Tesla is part of the Big Seven. They have 10,000 Bitcoin they've been sitting on. They sold some, but they're still sitting on it. And I don't know if you guys saw that tweet by Elon yesterday. Him and Trump had a fallout where he was basically like, fiat is worthless. Like, fiat is worthless. Inflation is a form of taxation. So, this is happening whether people like it or not. And the beautiful thing about markets is that the more strategy performs on the public markets, it's going to force the hand of these other companies, because their shareholders are going to say, hey, WTF, like this guy isn't even making anything. He's just putting his corporate treasury into Bitcoin. Like, why in the hell are you guys not doing this? This makes absolutely no sense. So it's just a matter of time, but that also creates an opportunity for everybody who's watching on the sideline. Because I think this is I agree with British Hodl. This is your last opportunity. I don't think you'll have this opportunity 4 years from now. I think the window will be closed. I think you're going to have to be okay with buying $500,000 Bitcoin or $400,000 Bitcoin. And that's going to suck. Like, that's going to be a very tough pill to swallow, right? So I think the window's closing.
So you've heard Bitcoin is the new gold rush by now. As world leaders on all sides have endorsed it as the future of money, and now you're looking to get started, we'll show you how. It's actually easier than you think. First, go to your nearest Byte Federal ATM and turn your cash to coin. Byte Federal has over 1,200 locations around the country with the highest daily limits. Go to our website, bytefederal.com, to find the nearest ATM to you. Log in to any wallet, then create an account, deposit your US cash, and instantly convert it to Bitcoin. That's it. We are the only US manufacturer and operator in the Bitcoin ATM industry, and our US-based live customer service is second to none. Go on, give it a whirl, and don't get left behind. Click the link below.